Hello, everybody. Welcome in to one very impromptu, but I just wanted to get this in. It's a Stanley Cup playoff live stream with the last game of the NHL season officially ending today, with the Winnipeg Jets being the Seattle Kraken. It is now time to focus on the playoffs, the 2022 NHL playoffs. I am in the TTC bracket with Dashy and a couple others. So if you'd like to join, ask Dashy for the link and he will set that for you. So with that being said, I do this every year. No matter who watches, I always give my thoughts on the 2022, 2000 whatever playoffs, NHL playoffs. Give my predictions. Think who's going to win this year. It's going to be an interesting year because this year, realistically, you don't know who you think's going, who do you think's going to win. Is probably not going to win. It's going to be a very interesting year, and no real team is clear cut in winning the Stanley Cup playoffs this year. There is no clear favorite. Man, I'm just like, this is going to be very interesting in regards to the playoffs. It's going to be really interesting because you have some phenomenal teams, you have some really underrated teams, and then you have teams that are like, why are they even there? So with that being said, let me just go ahead and preview and predict who I think is going to win each series. Starting off with the first one, I'm going to go Western Conference and Eastern Conference. Colorado Avalanche versus the Nashville Predators is the first one. Colorado being the number one team in the Central Division, going against the number 14 in the Central Division in the Nashville Predators. You'll go look at their statistics right there. Mikko Renton is the leading scorer on the Avalanche, while Roman Josi is the leading scorer for the Nashville Predators. Predators getting in, thankfully, for UC Soros being an absolute legend and playing his heart out. The Panthers definitely have had some improvements this year. I mean, sorry, not the Panthers. The Predators have had some improvements this year, but Colorado being the team that they are, this is just a fantastic team overall, and I just do not see Colorado losing a series. I think the series will probably go 5 games. I think Nashville gets a game at home, but I think Colorado wins this one in 5 games. I just do not see Nashville really competing as much. Whoops, that was not who I wanted to pick. I'm going to go ahead on if it will let me do this. Oh, I guess it's not working. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why that's not working. That button's not working. Yeah, I don't know why it's not working. The tiebreaker's not working, but that's weird. Next series is the St. Louis Blues versus the Minnesota Wild. This is going to be a very fantastic series, very underrated teams. Yeah, Marc-Andre Fleury for the Minnesota Wild. The Denver playoff run. He was on Chicago most of this year, getting traded to Minnesota later, right during the trade deadline. St. Louis, they have a good amount of depth, and Vladimir Tarasenko being an absolute monster of a scorer. You still have Kirill Kaprizov for Minnesota. This series will definitely go to 7. I could see either of these teams winning, but in the end, I got to go with the stronger team here overall, and I think that it is St. Louis. So I was going to think Minnesota is a toss-up, but I think it is going to go to St. Louis. I think St. Louis is a slightly stronger team. As much as I want to see Marc-Andre Fleury win again, I just don't see him getting past St. Louis. I don't see him getting enough saves off Vladimir Tarasenko, and I think that the St. Louis Blues will move on and play off against the Colorado Avalanche in the next round. Well, that's cool. So I got 23 days left to graduate. Nice, man. Good stuff. Next up is the Calgary Flames versus the Dallas Stars. The Dallas Stars pretty much the last team to get in. And meanwhile, the Calgary Flames being the first place team of the Pacific Division. You have Johnny Hockey being a dominant force on offense. This team is interesting to say the least. That Calgary was a complete surprise out of this year, a complete unknown winning the division this year. I didn't even think they were going to be a playoff team this year. I thought they were going to be right outside the playoffs, but lo and behold, they surprised everybody, and now they're the division winner. Shock everyone. It's definitely a huge shock. So with that being said, this series is going to be interesting just because realistically is a chance that Dallas could get swept here. I think that there could be a chance, but Calgary is known to blow leads in playoffs. They're not the most consistent playoff team, but this year they've been pretty solid overall. So I am going to go Calgary here. I think Calgary wins it overall, and I think they will go on in 4 games. I just do not see Dallas having any resemblance of a playoff team here. I think they got if you're the stroke of luck. If Vegas made it in, I think Vegas would have a little bit better chance, but I think Calgary now just moves on in 4. I don't see Dallas really competing. They don't have that same magic they had in the 2020 run where they had that bubble run, the NHL bubble. I don't see that happening again. It's going to be interesting to say the least. So next up is the Edmonton Oilers versus the Los Angeles Kings. The Los Angeles Kings getting in surprisingly pretty well. Like they were a rebuilding team. Many people predicted them to be a bottom feeder team this year, along with the Anaheim Ducks, Seattle Kraken, who are the brand new team this year. Edmonton, really strong team overall. They do have some issues in regards to their defense, but you can't count out the Edmonton offense here. The Kings, no matter how they finish off this series, their season is pretty much a winning season right now. It's a fantastic season for the Kings and their fans. Their playoff system, their farm system is doing really good. Their prospects are developing. And this should be a pretty interesting series. I think that the Oilers will win, but I think Los Angeles gives them a little bit of a run here. I think that they will win in 2 games. 6. I don't think the Kings will win 2. We will win 2 games, but I think the Oilers win in 6. So I'm going to do my predictions right here. So here you go. Colorado, 5. Calgary in 4. St. Louis in 7. Edmonton in 6. And those are my picks. So there you go. So that's how it looks for the Western Conference. I'm going to go through the Eastern Conference real quick before I go into the next round, to the divisional rounds. So the next one I'm going to do is I'm going to think this is the easiest series to predict. The Florida Panthers versus the Washington Capitals. Capitals, the last team in the East to get in. The Panthers, the President's Trophy winners. This is a absolutely fantastic offense. Florida having one of the best offenses around. So this will be intriguing to say the least, to see how the Capitals even try to compete against the Panthers. I just do not see him coming close at all. I think the Florida Panthers win this one convincingly. I say within 4 games. I could see them getting 5. Man, this is going to be interesting to say the least. But I want to see Florida just straight up dominate Washington, especially because Washington, it's not 2018 anymore. Let's be honest. It's not 2018. You don't have any of that kind of magic. And I think your contending window is pretty much shut. I think it's pretty much shut at this point. Florida moves on convincingly. Next up is Toronto and Tampa Bay. The defending Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning getting in the playoffs, but this is going to be one of the ones that's really tough to predict. I'm realistically thinking that Toronto, knowing how bad Toronto does in the playoffs, Tampa Bay could win, but man, this is just really tough to predict because you can never count out the Tampa Bay Lightning. You can never count them out. They realistically have not had a bad season recently, and they won the past 2 Stanley Cups. But you know how Tampa Bay does in the playoffs. Whenever they get in, they somehow make a run. Toronto, they always tend to completely falter in the playoffs, no matter what it is. I honestly think that this is going to be a 7-game series, but I'm going to go Tampa Bay Lightning. I think the Tampa Bay Lightning here will win in 7 games. I think Toronto, just the curse of Toronto is going to continue. The Toronto Maple Leafs are a team that's doomed to be cursed for the remainder of time. I don't see them making a Stanley Cup final for a long, long time. It doesn't matter if Austin Matthews is on the team. This team is just doomed to be cursed. I think Tampa Bay will somehow completely blow it. So, yeah, that's why I think that the Tampa Bay Lightning will move on. Next up is the Carolina Hurricanes versus the Boston Bruins. Carolina is the first place team in the Metropolitan Division. Boston Bruins, the fourth place team in the the Atlantic Division. Carolina, the big question for them is going to be goaltending. How will their goaltending do in regards to the playoffs this year? You don't know who's going to return, who's going to start. Boston is going to be an interesting team because pretty much no matter what happens to Boston, they pretty much are a team that just never gives up. They've had so many injuries this year, have had inconsistent runs in the regular season. But man, this series screams upset here, but I don't think it will be too much of an upset. I think Carolina's just got too much talent on defense to let Boston win. But Boston has beaten Carolina before in the playoffs. But I think this time Carolina gets revenge and beats out Boston. So I'm picking the Hurricanes to move on. I'm going to say in 6 games. I think Boston will lose, but I think that Boston will definitely provide an interesting task for the Hurricanes. Next up, it's my team, the Pittsburgh Penguins versus the New York Rangers. New York Rangers been pretty much turning themselves around from pretty much being one of the worst teams a few years ago and now being the second team in the Metropolitan Division. This is going to be a tough test for Pittsburgh. This could be Pittsburgh's last run pretty much as a team. I realistically think that this is going to be the one team, this Penguins team right now, that could pretty much define the next few years from. I realistically think that if Pittsburgh doesn't really do anything this year, I think it's time to realistically blow it up because you have so many people going away, like possibly leaving free agency, including Malkin, Letang, and so many others. This could be it pretty much for the Penguins. And it's crazy to think that last year was the end of the era with Big Ben and now starting the new era with Kenny Pickett. This could be the same thing where the old guard leaves and we have the new guard take over. Like Jake Gensel is absolutely phenomenal. He's the next future captain of the team, but man, the Penguins, this could be it. This could be their last run. The New York Rangers, though, I just don't trust them because they are going to be inexperienced in regards to the playoffs, but the Rangers have had the Penguins number in the playoffs. So I think the last time they played, the Penguins won in 5. The Rangers do have a little bit better team this time around. They have a really good offense. But somehow I think Pittsburgh makes one more run before the time is up. Give me the Pittsburgh Penguins to win this game in 6 games. I think Pittsburgh wins 6. I think that this will be a great series, but I think New York Rangers, I think their reliance on goaltending is going to really hurt them. So that's why I think the Penguins will win in 6 games. I have the Tampa Bay Lightning in 7. I have the Hurricanes in 6, and I have the Panthers in 4. So, pretty interesting playoffs so far. What will happen next? Let's see right now. We have the Colorado Avalanche versus St. Louis Blues in the next series. St. Louis, though, having a really good offense will definitely make things tough for Colorado. And Colorado, I don't know what it is. Whenever they usually get the first round playoff win, but then when it comes to the second round, they always falter. I don't know what it is. Colorado, though, they could have a different team this year. St. Louis, the big thing that St. Louis has that Colorado doesn't is depth. I think that St. Louis's depth is a little bit better than Colorado's depth. I think in the end of this will go 7-game series, and I think Colorado will move on. I just think that their team as a whole is a little bit better than St. Louis. Even though St. Louis does have great depth, I think Colorado's offense and defense are a tad bit better than St. Louis overall. I think this game will go to 7 games. I think Colorado will somehow get it done in the 7th game. That will lead us to the next one matchup, which is the Calgary Flames versus the Edmonton Oilers. The top 2 teams in the Pacific Division meeting up in the playoffs. This is another series where it's completely one of those teams that you just do not know what's realistically going to happen. You really don't know what's going to happen here in this game. You really don't know what's going to happen this series. It's an interesting series to say the least. If you had to go back and look at all the matchups they've had between the Oilers and the Flames this year. Let me see here. Edmonton did lose to Calgary twice in March, which definitely hurts. 9-5 and 1-3. They When else did they play? They beat Calgary once 5-3. Then that was back in January, and that was one of the games that got postponed. And they won at the very early of the series 5-2. So it's pretty much a split down the middle. So the big thing that really makes me pick one team over the other is the fact that this team, I just want to see them actually do well. I think that this one player, he needs his time to shine in the playoffs, and I think he will get his time to shine in this series. I just think that this team is the better overall team in regards to offense, and I think offense will beat out defense here in Calgary. So I'm picking the Edmonton Oilers to move on to the Western Conference Finals here. I think they will get it done in 7 games. I think that this is a really strong team, but I think that Calgary, though, I just don't trust them in the second round. I just do not trust them. For some reason, they always tend to choke in the playoffs. I think Edmonton will move on. And I think this is their year to make a big run. Next up is Florida and Tampa Bay, a division round a Florida matchup series in the playoffs. I don't think that these teams have met up in the playoffs. They might have met up only once. I don't remember. But this has been a deadlock series pretty much from the get-go. Let me just see something. Panthers. So let's see here. Have they met up in the playoffs? So pretty much they did meet up other than last year, they really haven't met up in the playoffs, so they only met up once, and that was in last year's playoffs where they lost 1-6. But I think this time around, though, I think this rivalry is similar to the Capitals and Penguins rivalry back in 2017, 2018. The Penguins got the better of the previous year, but in this year, this one team came out and they ended up making a run, ended up winning winning in the second round and going all the way. So I think the Florida Panthers will move on here, and I think they will play the winner of whoever gets this next series. But hey, Florida will win this series. I think they'll win in 7 games. Actually, no, they'll win in 6 because I remember when the Penguins beat them in 2017 was in 6 games. No, it was in 7 games. But this time, I think, and then the Capitals won 6 games. This time, I think it'll be 7 games if Panthers win on home ice. While the Lightning, they won in 6 games last year. So I think the Panthers will move on to the Eastern Conference Finals. Next up is the Carolina Hurricanes and Pittsburgh Penguins. This is Pittsburgh's last chance of really getting into the playoff. Realistically, I just think that if this is their last chance to bring in a Stanley Cup, this has to be their last chance. I do not see them realistically making another run at this point. The big problem with the Penguins is going to be inconsistency in regards to goaltending. I think both of these teams will have an issue. I think both of these teams will win their first round series. But when it comes to this matchup, who knows what's going to happen? I know the one time the Penguins and Hurricanes did meet up in the playoffs, which was in 2009. The Penguins swept the Hurricanes in the Eastern Conference Finals. And I remember that very well. That was the one where they got to play the Detroit Red Wings. That was a fantastic series. I think that the Hurricanes are a good team, but I think they're a weak division winner. I think that Calgary probably would be the better division winner of Carolina. I think Carolina was the weakest division winner this year. I think Pittsburgh's moving on, and I think that they barely get by Carolina here. I think they'll win in 7, but I think this will be a very competitive game and very close series. Western Conference Finals time. It is the Colorado Avalanche versus the Edmonton Oilers. 2 fantastic offenses going at each other. Colorado would have the advantage though in regards to defense, but in the regular season, how do these teams do against each other? Let's take a look here. We got the Oilers. I'll pull it up. Take a look here. So these teams, have played. That can't be right. They played once that I can track of. Once March 21st at Colorado, and they lost 3-2, and they lost again 2-1 against Edmonton. Edmonton has lost both games to Colorado. Colorado had the advantage in regards to that D point, but the thing is, I just do not trust Colorado in the Western Conference Finals round. Let's go Panthers! Hey, Alexander, great. Talking about the Panthers, I'll talk about that in a little bit, but right now, I just think in regards to Colorado versus Edmonton, I think that if this is the time that this player wins and goes to the Stanley Cup Final and tries to make himself the new face of the league, it's time to do it right now. This is his time. I'm picking Edmonton Oilers in 7 games to beat Colorado and go to the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time since 2006. Could they be the first Canadian team to win a Stanley Cup Final? We'll have to see. This is also the first time, other than Montreal last year. When was the last time a Canadian team made the Stanley Cup Final? It's a surprise to see that, but Edmonton, I think that this is their time to make it in. I think Edmonton will be in the finals. It's going to be interesting to see who they will play, though. Coming up, we have the next game, which is the Eastern Conference Finals. The Florida Panthers and Pittsburgh Penguins is my Eastern Conference Finals matchup. And if this is a matchup, I would get tickets to go see this immediately. I would be like, game one, I am going to be there to go root for my Penguins. And trust me, I would love to see my Penguins beat the Panthers and knock them off. But Florida's the most complete team in the league this year. They really are. They're the most complete team in the league, far none. We played Florida in the regular season. We lost to them in March. And I think we only played them 3 times this year, and I think it was back in October. We lost to them at Florida, and then in November we beat them at home, so we're 2-1 against the Panthers. The last time these teams played in the playoffs, though, was 1996, and the Florida Panthers won in 7 games. And I think the result will stay the same here. I'm picking the Florida Panthers to go on to the Stanley Cup Final. As much as I hate to do it as a Penguins fan, I know we cannot beat Florida in 7 games. There's no fucking way we're going to stop that offense in 7 games. There's absolutely no way. It just hurts because I will be rooting for my Penguins no matter what this playoffs. I will be rooting for my Penguins. No matter if they lose in the first round, no matter if they lose in the finals, no matter losing the Stanley Cup finals or the second round. I don't care. I'll be rooting for my Penguins till the day I die. But I got to be realist here. We're not beating Florida. I don't think we'll beat Florida. I think that this would be... Oh, yeah, that was the last time the Canadiens won in 93. That was the last time they made the final. But before that, before the Canadiens made it last year, I don't think there's been a team that made the finals other than... Oh, wait, no, Edmonton last made the finals in 2006. I'm sorry. They made the finals in 2006 and played the Carolina Hurricanes. But overall, though, the Panthers, I think, are just a better team. They'll win in 7 games. And my Stanley Cup final prediction is going to be the Edmonton Oilers versus the Florida Panthers. Now, this would scream a fantastic playoff series here. 2 great offenses, 2 of the best offenses in hockey going at each other. The Panthers, though, are the more complete team. This would be a fantastic series no matter what. You would have some of the faces of the league, the new face of the league, Connor McDavid in the Stanley Cup final, his first Stanley Cup final, which I think at this point is overdue. They are overdue to be in the finals. I think that the Edmonton Oilers need to get there at some point. This is the year to do it. The Florida Panthers offense, though, is scary as hell. And the Panthers, though, the only thing knocking them is that the Edmonton Oilers have won a game in the Stanley Cup Finals before. The Florida Panthers haven't. the Florida Panthers, they've only been in once, and they didn't win a single game. They lost to Colorado. Oh yeah, Vancouver in 2011. I forgot about that. Vancouver made it in 2011 and lost to the Bruins. So it is the Montreal Canadiens, the Vancouver Canucks, and the Edmonton Oilers were the last three Canadian teams to make it to the final. The last team to win it was Montreal Canadiens in '93. There we go. So Edmonton versus Florida, I think, is my perfect matchup. I think that this would be the best matchup, and I think this is one that would really draw a big crowd. I think this would draw a lot of viewers. I think this would also help out the Florida Panthers, get more people to go to Florida Panther games because I've been there. And it's now they've been getting more people as of late, but when I was going there, it was very hard to realistically. It was very easy getting tickets there, but I'm glad that Florida is now getting more of a reputation there. And I think that this is a fantastic series for both the Edmonton for the NHL as a whole. Even though the one problem I would have with this series though is I don't know what the vaccination status of all the players are. I don't know if they would have to exclude certain players because of the Canada's rule of if they're not vaccinated, they can't play in the Canada. I don't know the whole details about that, but that would not be good. That would be a kind of a black eye on this series as a whole. But realistically, it comes down to a coin flip. It comes down to which offense could perform better in the clutch. And you gotta realistically think who is going to be the better goaltender between Sergei Bobrovsky and I'm trying to remember Edmonton's goal. Is it Mike Smith? I think it might be Mike Smith. Let me see. Double check here. Yeah, but it is Mike Smith. And then Mikko, and the backup would be Mikko Koivunen. So it'd pretty much be Mike Smith and Mikko Koivunen versus Sergei Bobrovsky. Sergei Bobrovsky also would be overdue for a play like a Stanley Cup final run. This would be a fantastic series as a whole. I really think that Spencer Knight's also a very good young rookie if he wants to come in as well. If Bobrovsky needs a break, this will go down to 7 games. No matter what, this is going to be a 7-game series. And the good thing about this is it's 2 different teams. It's not the same teams. It's not Tampa Bay Lightning every year because Tampa Bay's been in it a lot lately. And I think it's about time Tampa Bay lets a new team make it into the finals this year. I don't want to see Tampa Bay 3 years in a row. I don't think it's going to happen. So with that being said, if I had to give my official prediction as of now, who do I pick? On one end, Florida has the better offense. Florida does have the better defense for some part. Edmonton does have the advantages on the power play, which could be in big handy, especially going against a big Florida Panthers team. In the end, though, I just can't trust Mike Smith I would not be able to trust Mike Smith in the finals. Give me the Florida Panthers to win the Stanley Cup final in 7 games. If I had to pick the amount of goals in the entire final series, I'm going to go with 32. I think that there'll be 32 goals. I'm going to say Florida wins the first game 5-4. Then Edmonton will win 2-1. Actually, no, it's going to be 42. I'm sorry, 42. I think Florida wins the last game, though, 3-2 in the last game, and I think they will hoist the Stanley Cup for the first time and keep the Stanley Cup in Florida as the Panthers win the Stanley Cup over Edmonton. And that's it, guys. Those are my picks. This is my Stanley Cup champion is the Florida Panthers. I think that they will be. Oh, yeah, I forgot about Ottawa too. But anyways, I have the Florida Panthers making this the Stanley Cup final and winning it. I just think that this is the best team overall. The only thing hurting this team is the fact that the President's Trophy curse is still in effect. It's tough because President's Trophy teams really don't win a Stanley Cup. It's just tough to say, but it's the truth. President's Trophy winners, man. You had Colorado last year, Tampa Bay a few years ago. It's not very often that the President's Trophy winner gets to go. It gets to realistically be there because right now the last time I gotta find the President's Trophy. Hold on. So the Florida Panthers is their first one actually. So the winners, the teams that won the Stanley Cup as the President's Trophy winners were the Edmonton Oilers, the Calgary Flames, the New York Rangers, the Dallas Stars, the Colorado Avalanche, the Detroit Red Wings, the Detroit Red Wings in 2007, and the Chicago Blackhawks. That was the last time a team won the Stanley Cup as the President's Trophy winners was the Chicago Blackhawks back in 2012 to 2013. That was the last time. And that was in the shortened season as well, which is insane. So, who knows what's going to happen in these playoffs? But with that being said, this is LC Muscles here, signing out. Just wanted to come on here, do this little live stream for you guys, talk about my predictions for hockey. I know it's not too long. I know there's not many people that know about hockey as much. You know what? I just wanted to come on here and give my thoughts. Whatever happens, happens. And I'm just rooting for my Pittsburgh Penguins. This could be it, guys. Just go out on a fun run. I want to see them continue their playoff streak, but let's be honest here. If we win a playoff series this year, I'll be very happy at least. But if we make it all the way to Stanley Cup final, that'd be even better. But right now, I just think Florida overall, it's tough to bet against the President's Trophy winner. And I think it's about time a President's Trophy winner wins the Stanley Cup again. And let me also bring the fact up that before that, it was even a shortened season. This season was pretty much a full season, and it hasn't had a winner in a long time. So I think Florida's due to break it. So take it easy, guys. See you guys later. Stay awesome. Have a great night. I am out of here. And with that being said, go Penguins. Go Steelers. I may do a video for the schedule release, which I'm very excited for, and I'll talk more about the schedule release. But that being said, there really isn't too much coming up on my channel. But I'll let you guys know if there's anything else coming up. With that being said, see you guys later. Stay awesome. Have a great night. Let's go Penguins. Get yourselves a series win, for God's sakes. It's been 3 fucking years. Haven't one that got out of the first round yet. Get out of the first round and make yourselves one more run before the door finally shuts.